after the break as we get closer to the second half between Chapin and Fort Mill. Eagles trying to get on top of the mountain in girls lacrosse for the first time since 2019. Fort Mill has some work to do if it wants to do so for the first time since 2012. Back in just a moment here on the NFHS Network.
Is there
point after allowing the first goal less than 3 minutes in, the Eagles have blanked the Fort Mill Yellow Jackets, upper state champions, and it's been all Chapin ever since. 7 unanswered goals, and now they are 24 minutes away from their first state title in girls lacrosse in 5 years. Alongside David Bates, I'm Brett Williams. Welcome back to our broadcast here on the NFHS Network, bringing you all 4 state championship games here in South Carolina High School League Lacrosse today from Irmo High School. The 5A boys will follow us, and then later it will be the 4A girls and the 4A boys. So stick around for a busy and exciting day of lacrosse here from the Midlands of the Palmetto State. Chapin wears blue, moves from left to right. Officially, the visiting team are all the lower state champions today. Fort Mill and the home whites moving from right to left. Chapin trying to make it 8 goals, and indeed they do, just 25 seconds in to the second half. And Jules Brown, I believe, finally gets hers.
The came out super aggressive. We talked about Fort Mill wanting to come out being aggressive and going to the goal, and Chapin had the same mentality, and that's what you're telling both these teams coming at halftime. Fort Mill's telling their players to come out, you got to be aggressive. We got to be aggressive. And Chapin's repeating the same thing. He's like, we got to stay aggressive. We need to come out and let's put this team away early, because at some point these players start looking up at that clock come second half.
Jules Brown, indeed, her first goal of the game, her 67th on the season. And Chapin with its second consecutive draw control to open this second half. That was one of the, well, not really the story, shall we say, of the first half, because it wasn't translating into goals, but one of the things we noticed in the first half was that Fort Mill was controlling the vast majority of the draws, had a chance to stay in, just could not either foil Dakota Cheek or maintain possession of the ball for long periods of time.
Yeah, and you see that. If you can control the ball and you stop the other team from going, it leads to a lot of close games. And Fort Mill's had the opportunity. They just can't finish.
What can they do here after Chapin comes up empty following its second straight draw control to open the second half? All the way in, Riley Rader sets it behind. Izzy English had a couple of shots early. One was blocked, the other saved. Cece Shia now the lone goal scorer for Fort Mill. Ava Claire Collins tried to pick her pocket, but Molly Bennett was there. Here's Taylor Wilcox, had a free position, the only one, if I'm not mistaken, that Fort Mill's had today. And could not cash in.
That defense for Chapin is locked in, it feels right.
Been a complete team effort in every aspect for Chapin today. Precise offense, excellent transition, ruthless defense, both in the setup and on the ride. Dakota Cheeks made a few point-blank saves. Hard to say anything negative about the way the Eagles have shown up today. Inside to Shia, shoots low. Across the net mouth, recovered behind by Izzy English.
Yeah, you know, as a former coach, and you're always trying to look at what the other team's weakness is and what they have been giving. And really, Chapin's just playing a well-rounded game today. And it's hard to be like, hey, we're going to attack this. We need to do better at this. We can, you know, they've been struggling at the draw, and Chapin adjusted for Fort Mill and has made those 50-50 balls now.
And now Fort Mill will earn its second free position of the day.
Got to capitalize. Got to capitalize on this.
No question. It's Bennett, leading goal scorer. Bounces at another save, this time kicked aside by Cheek. Incredible stuff from the senior netminder.
And you see it, you're starting to feel it for the goalie. The goalie's locked in. You know, when you start getting those saves and your defense putting the other team in tough position, you know, you're going to start only getting more confident from the goalie.
Brown to Holmes. Brooke Holmes has a hat trick today. So too does Ava Claire Collins, the Winthrop commit. Holmes is also committed to play at the next level. She'll play for Mercer. Claire Cornelison, triple team,
Good
found her way
defense.
through.
Good defense.
Emily Laney. Last touched by the Yellow Jacket, so it stays with Chapin.
And that's pretty much how the game has gone. I think Fort Mill has made good plays, but when that ball bounces, it ends up in a Chapin stick. You know, it's just how the ball rolls sometimes.
A lot has been rolling Chapin's way today. Here's Ava Brandstatter. Looks like she was able to draw shooting space down low.
Need a big step up from the goalie. Big step up.
That was an early start, I believe, from Bennett. So she'll have to come off the arc.
Looks like that might benefit her. It looks like she tweaked her ankle, so she might not be as quick coming out for this. Not that was intentional, but it has played into Fort Mill's favor.
And indeed, Brandstatter just let it go to a teammate. Holmes, Collins.
Yeah, she's still limping, but
Takes the shot.
oh, they're called shooting space again, looks like.
Chapin's put on a clinic in terms of drawing that today.
Let's see if she'll take it this time. It looked like her ankle was still bothering her, but let's see if she goes to it or she looks in the pass.
I just plant the left foot and fire. Brandstatter with a bounce saved by Dove. And so Emery Dove does step up in a situation in which her team needed her. Taken right away, however, can't get back in the cage in time, and the ball continues to bounce Chapin's way. Jules Brown with her second.
Oh, and you saw she came out of the crease to maintain she had the ball, and when you come out of the crease, you cannot enter it again, and she kept ran around the crease, got checked by the defender. That ball an easy bounce to her teammate, easy goal. And it's so disappointing because she just made a great save coming out of that. And that's what you want. And, man, like you said, the ball's just bouncing that way.
Fort Mill held scoreless since the 9:18 mark of the first quarter. They scored the first goal of this game. They have not scored since. And now they're just trying to control a draw for the first time in the second half. This was the one thing in which they had the advantage over Chapin in the first half.
And don't think they've won it since.
Brooke Holmes across. Chapin fans loving what they're seeing thus far. And this again is coming off a win over Wando, who had dashed the Eagles' state dreams in the lower state championship for 3 straight years ahead of this one. So that was certainly their big hurdle to clear. They did so. They've believed all year, and they have played like it today. Again, against a very good Fort Mill team whose only state foe loss was to Chapin. All their other losses coming to North Carolina schools, and that by only 3 goals back on March 12th.
Yeah, I don't like this. Both officials, it looks like they had 2 different calls. Initially, it looks like they had a call on Chapin and was going to give it to Fort Mill, and then the other official blew it dead, and it looks like they're going to have a conversation. So. Yep, we're going to stay with Fort Mill. That could have been on multiple things. When you get 2 officials that have 2 different calls, a simple fact that the score is 9-1 may be the deterrent to let's just go this way, let's give it to them. and keep the game moving. Let's not dwell on this too long, and just keep it moving.
Final 5 minutes now of quarter number 3. Here's CeCe Shia. Bounces one just wide of the cage.
Because we had the terrible call last year in the state finals where the officials got together and debated for a good 10 minutes. And we were all left confused. In a one-goal game, you want to make a decision and just move on.
That's one of those moments you love to forget, but was also so insane as to be unforgettable.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully the association for girls lacrosse used that as a tool for this one. It's like, hey, let's make a call and just go.
And that happened in the final, I believe, 7 seconds of the game.
Oh, it didn't decide the game, but it had a massive impact on. It was a one-goal game. We're looking at going into overtime or winning. You took a goal away to have them turn around and put a shot up, and then you debated about it for 10 minutes, which was the problem. You need to make a decision, live with it, and just move on. And I don't think either official was willing to back down, so that's what led to the long debate. So, but as an official myself, and as part of the boys association, we use those opportunities to not repeat again. So,
absolutely, got to learn from it at the very least. That was a game in which Wando got the better of JL Mann at the end. And both of those teams lost to these two teams in the state semifinals this year. Wando to Chapin as Ava Claire Collins continues to put her stamp all over this game and this program. 4 goals on the day for her, and it's 10-1 Eagles.
So how Fort Mill caught themselves sleeping on one of the best players in the state, they just did. She was able to easy cut down the field, no contact. Teammate looked for her, found her on the crease, easy goal.
Collins with 4, Holmes with 3, Brown with 2, and Buds with 1. All in order. All Chapin. Today's game is also available for all subscribers via the NFHS Network Live mobile app for Apple and Android devices. Download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store today to start watching live games wherever you are.
I said we were talking pregame about today and all the teams and everything, and I made the comment that I thought this was going to be one of the better games, if not the best game of the day. And Chapin just came out, with other plans, because it's all been Chapin. You said it earlier. It's just there's nothing you can point at that Chapin's been doing wrong. They've complete team effort, and it's not that Fort Mill's playing bad. It's just I think Chapin's just playing a next level right now.
I think you're certainly right. On paper, it figured to be, as we've mentioned, they played to a 3-goal game at Chapin earlier this season, and Fort Mill has lost all of its 5 losses have been by 3 goals or fewer. So they are not known to have a game like this where they're largely getting blown out. You look at the other games, and certainly we'll see what we get, but do seem to have some on-paper mismatches here just because of the powerhouses that are in those games. Bishop England certainly in 4A girls. Lucy Beckham's been on a tear in 4A boys. And then we are going to see a third-year rematch. We'll get back to that in a second as Chapin's going 2 on nobody. Emery Dove with the save to deny Emily Laney her first goal of the game. But instead, it's just the second for Lauren Buds.
And the crowd knows it. Ooh, not so fast, sir. They're going to get together on something. You hate to see that happen. The goalie made a good save. The ball's been rolling to Chapin. Rolled it to another defender. The defender took a step forward and took a shot. I don't know what they're getting together here for, but we'll have to wait and see. But great transition for Chapin. Wow. I'm sorry I didn't see the gesture. We were just talking. I'm going to have to say that it was probably a crease violation possibly. You take a shot, you have to, if you step on, touch the crease before the ball enters, that could have easily been it. It was close on the defender's part, or the attack part, but
So Buds does not get her second. It remains 10-1. Final 1:48 to go in the third quarter, and now massive tumble behind the play. I think the Chapin fans are getting a little bit restless following that last call and now this no call. They go after Molly Bennett. Physicality is increasing here. And it looks like a second penalty of the day will be called on Chapin. Oh, Buds heads off.
Fort Mill fans are excited, trying to rally their girls to get back in this and get some type of life going. A 10-0 run's tough.
Head coach Raven Thomas now down there in the box with Lauren Buds. Words of encouragement.
And I've seen her at these clinics, clinics where she's working with the youth. She's always coaching. She treats all the kids like hers. Doesn't matter the school, the area. She's always coaching. Just an all-around good person and an advocate for growing the sport of girls lacrosse.
You mentioned her impact across the board. Directs Rapids Lacrosse Club team that's got an umbrella or a tent out back here on the concourse, chatting with folks as Fort Mill has broken its scoreless streak. Cece Shia with her second tally of the day, 55 seconds to go in the third.
And she just cranked it. There was no, I'm going to run to the goal. It's, I'm going to step back. I'm mad. I'm going to shoot this one.
So a little bit of life here from Fort Mill. 55 seconds. Let's see what happens on this next draw. If they can control it, I think they're going to probably start approaching it just like Shia just did.
Oh,
really the only way to come back into this.
You got to shoot. You got to shoot. And the more you can get, the better opportunity. You start getting in the goalie's head. You start getting the defense. I think, you could easily get to the point where Chapin probably started celebrating a little bit too early. So it all starts with that next goal is what if you're the coach, that's what you're telling Fort Mill is you're telling your girls, get the next one.
They'll redo this draw. Just to tie up a quick bow, Raven Thomas also leading the SC national team this year. Memorial Day weekend will be their competition. She was awarded the South Carolina Girls Lacrosse Coach of the Year for 2023 as well. She's continued to build Chapin back up. Certainly has merited contention for that again this year. Ground ball loose. Fort Mill will be given it 40 seconds and counting.
Well, like you said, you built them back up. Like they were competitors, but they were never a state champion competitor. They were always that next tier down with Wando, JL Man, and they took this team to that next level.
Violation on Fort Mill. Chapin takes control. Final 20 seconds of the quarter.
So one of the rules that's different between boys and girls is the girl goalie has 10 seconds to get out the crease, while the boys have 4 seconds. Also, only one person in the girls' game can go into the crease at a time. So a lot of times you'll see the goalie set the ball behind the net and allow a midi to come get it. While the boys is you can run people through in and out of the crease on the defensive side.
On that moment, whether in or out of the crease, Dakota Cheek was in no hurry to get rid of the ball, so she didn't entirely. We hit the final quarter of play in just a moment. Chapin up 10-2 over Fort Mill, closing in on its first state title in 5 years. Today's event is available to download. Just click the digital copy button under the event video player to download a digital copy of the event right to your computer. We're back in less than 2 minutes' time as we bring you the fourth in the 5A Girls SCHSL State Lacrosse Championship game on the NFHS Network. Final 12 minutes on the clock in this one. It's the Chapin Eagles 10, the Fort Mill Yellow Jackets 2. Alongside David Bates, I'm Brett Williams. Glad to have you with us here from Irmo High School. Chapin last won a state championship 5 years ago, knocking off these same Fort Mill Yellow Jackets right here on this same field in Irmo. And they are well on their way to doing so again. Fort Mill trailing by 8 going into this final 12. We'll see what they're able to do here at the draw, but a lot of work to do if they're trying to get back in this one.
Well, like I say, it's never over until it's over, but it's a tall hill to climb on this one. Just the overall performance that Chapin has put on today is just making it such a tough hill for Fort Mill to climb, and to make up for what to overcome the last 3 quarters is going to be pretty tough.
Well, we told you earlier, Fort Mill has 5 losses on the season, all of them by 3 goals or fewer. So this is the anomaly for sure. They have also reached double digits in scoring in 12 of their 18 games. They're 3-3 when they don't get there. They're going to have to find a way to get there. They want to somehow pull off the comeback. And not a lot of time in which to do it.
Well, especially the way they've been playing and the way that Chapin's just been dominating every aspect of the game. It just makes it incredibly tough. But like, we talked about right before the end of the quarter is that next goal. That's what you're telling the coach is, let's worry about the next goal. Let's worry about the next goal. Because it does start sinking in as a player. You see that clock ticking. You're getting yourself down. But you just got to remember the players to remind them the next goal that matters.
There'll be a free position here for Molly Bennett. Fort Mill is yet to cash in on one of these opportunities today. If I'm Bennett, I'm thinking about taking maybe 1-2 steps and then just releasing. Trying to put as much behind it as you can. She charges in, gets low. What do I know? Gets all the way in and scores.
Well, it's a good way to look at it, because Chapin's been incredibly fast today across the board in clearing and riding, helping on the face, on the draw. And in that same situation, they got the length, they got the size. So for her to be able to just barrel roll through them, 2 defenders, and go straight up to the goalie and score is testament. Took them 45 seconds to score. Is not unheard of, but the next goal.
Exactly. They did exactly what they had to do. Control the draw, score fast. Bennett finally finds her way to the back of the net today. Team's leading goal scorer on the season. Ball trickles toward the top of the box. Big ground ball here. Collins wisely whips it out. Scooped by Brooke Holmes.
Opportunity was there, but yeah, I 100% expect Chapin to just slow this down, make them come out and play you, and just finish out the quarter.
I do find it interesting now that I think about it. I know I referenced a little bit of this earlier, but not particularly in this context. Talk about Brown, Collins, and Holmes as the 3 stars of this Chapin offense who have been so good to one another throughout this season. They are all going to be playing at different schools in the same conference in the Big South. Brown at Gardner-Webb, Collins at Winthrop, and Holmes at Mercer. Mercer, an affiliate member of the Big South in women's lacrosse, normally in the SoCon otherwise. That will be something intriguing for Chapin fans to watch in the years to come.
That's always fun. I follow a bunch of schools around this area in lacrosse, and they're always posting when they play against a fellow teammate at another school. They're always pictures after the games, and everybody's just proud of those moments.
I don't know if they're allowed to do what the pros do with jersey swaps after the game, but that'd be fun.
Maybe for some higher end, profitable teams, maybe.
True. Never know where NIL creeps its way into things like this, right? 9.5 to go in this one.
And this is what Chapin's going to do the rest of the quarter. They're in no hurry to score. They don't need to score. They know Fort Mill has to come out, and with the way that Chapin plays, they're just going to wait for Fort Mill to overpress or take an advantage of it and then go.
Penalty is now expired. Flag out. Free position coming.
And I don't think Fort Mill has played bad defense. It's just Chapin's just been really aggressive, and when you're that aggressive, you're going to get these opportunities.
Collins trying for goal number 5 on the day. Explodes, shoots, and saved by Emery Dove, but she picks it right back up, does Collins. Resets to Holmes. Would love to see a stat on ground balls today. Chapin's done well getting all the big ones, it seems. Big ones.
Every time you think Fort Mill made a play, Chapin ends up with the ball.
More shooting space drawn by Holmes. I agree with you, David. Really, Fort Mill's defense is playing well as a unit, but Chapin has just been that much better and that much more opportunistic.
Oh, yeah, that's the key word, because we're in another opportunity right here that Chapin's just going to have the opportunity at.
I think Holmes has hit both sides of the cage today. She's also scored 3 times.
And this is where Chapin's been good, riding. Fort Mill's had struggle with clearing the ball. Like, her teammates are not getting open right here. 2-on-1, loses the ball.
I think I'd chalk that one up just to a little bit of pressing in the moments. Lauren Buds, who had her second tally of the game erased due to a controversial foul call in the 3rd quarter, gets it back in the 4th.
Yeah, it's just interesting to, from up here just to watch the Fort Mill coaches try to talk to each other. And, you know, you're at this point of the game, there's less than 8 minutes. The writing's on the wall. You always want, as a coach, you're always trying to figure out what to motivate the girls, because the game's not over. 8 minutes is a long time, but the way that the game has been going, if this was a 19-11 game, that's a different story, because the scoring's there. The scoring's not there. 3 goals. We're looking at a season low opportunity in the state championship game. It's just, you're just at a loss for words. And any coach is always, if you coach long enough, you've been in these situations where I don't know what to say, tell my kids. You know, they're playing well. You know, they've made mistakes, but they're still playing well.
Ran into what today is just a buzzsaw. You got to give a shout out to Fort Mill head coach Kirsten Terry. I haven't had a chance to mention her today, but she is quite the legacy at Fort Mill. Ended her career as their all-time leading scorer as a player, 199 goals. And at the time that she graduated, which was in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, was South Carolina State all-time leader in assists and points.
As we know, that's been beaten quite a few times.
Yes.
But still.
As it goes,
still
Jules Brown.
Impressive. Still very impressive.
Yes, it is. Brown with a hat trick, so all 3 future Big South Laxers have registered Hatties today.
And Fort Mill is still, and they will still be considered one of the blue bloods of girls lacrosse. They're always in the conversation year in, year out. Same way with Chapin, Wando, JL Man. They're still there. And once you're still there, they could easily be back next year or 2 years from now.
Again, they upended JL Man in overtime in the Upper State Final earlier this week. So certainly figure to be around for a while.
What they do on certain draws, that the ball doesn't go high enough, they just reset and do it again. It does have to go up high enough for it to be a successful draw.
Bounces right to Ava Claire Collins.
Second half adjustment on that draw has been impressive.
The dish inside. Jules Brown. Oh, my. Look at this. Goodness.
Well, we talked about earlier about the passing and the catching around other players. I mean, they made that pass with 5 or 6 girls. She maintains it, backs off a little. When she backs off that little bit, you see the defense opens up and she reattacks for really an easy goal.
2 goals in 26 seconds for Jules Brown. She now has 4, same as she had in the semifinal victory over Wando. And it looks like Kirsten Terry will use her final timeout for Fort Mill. Chapin fans rising to their feet here in Irmo, closing in on the state crown. High school sports fans, never miss another game. Become a subscriber to NFHS Network to watch live event coverage, game replays, and highlights from high school sporting events from across the country. Millions of athletes, thousands of games, one destination, NFHSnetwork.com. We are high school. So I was starting to get into the rest of the day. Coming up next is the one I didn't get a chance to mention, the Class 5A Boys State Championship. It's actually the third time in a row that we've seen Wando and Nation Ford go at it. These two teams split the last 2 years. Nation Ford knew going into last year, they actually knew it a couple of years ago, that 2023 was going to be their year where they had all the seniors and experience. They had kind of penciled that in, said head coach Corey Turner, and they got there a year ahead of schedule. Wando took care of their business pretty easily 2 seasons ago, but Nation Ford able to finish the deal. I think based on some of the comments I saw at the press conference, I'm not sure Nation Ford at the beginning of this year thought that they were going to get back, whereas Wando, who all of a sudden was a young team last year, they knew what they were capable of and what they've been doing for a very long time. And this is why on paper it seems like Wando's poised to step up and get back to the mountaintop. But Nation Ford has certainly proven its worth the last couple years.
Oh, absolutely. And what you're seeing with Nation Ford is the reason why I don't think they thought that they graduated so many people on defense. So many. And defense is such a huge spot in winning a championship run. But I think he underestimated his key players. And he's been fighting injury this year, too. So I think that's been a big part of it. He still has probably arguably one of the best scorers in the entire state. And when you have such a dynamic scorer, it opens up opportunities for other players. So he's got the core to win a championship. The core has carried him here. It will see what they can do against the machine Wando that is Wando.
That's about all you have to say sometimes. Josh Amio is that goal scorer for Nation Ford. We'll see him at 25 minutes or so after the conclusion of the trophy ceremony for 5A girls, which will bring you here. So stick around for that. Wando on the other side, that machine will go for its 8th state championship in just the 14 years that SCHSL has sponsored a boys lacrosse title game. Head coach Lance Arenas has led the Warriors the entire time. As we see the 3-year rubber match between the Warriors and the Nation Ford Falcons coming up next. In the meantime, Chapin trying to close this out, leading by 10, very comfortably so. 5:23 to go. 4 from Ava Claire Collins. 4 from Jules Brown, 3 from Brooke Holmes, 2 from Lauren Butts. There's your Baker's dozen. CC Shia with a pair, Molly Bennett with 1 for Fort Mill. Here's Holmes. Can she add her 4th? Not quite. Emery Dove with another save. Dove will be in net 1 more year for Fort Mill. Taken away here by Michaela Brink. Here's Molly Bennett. Fort Mill with numbers. Bennett ducking in. There's shooting space.
Yeah. It's always tough when you're down like this and you have the numbers. Players get tunnel vision. She should have easily passed that off, but you get so frustrated. You feel like, I have to go score. I have to get this going. And when she could have easily made a pass, they had the numbers. Like you said, they had the numbers. They had the fast break. And she kind of killed it on herself trying to take it by herself. But she's also in the position right now because she's still maintained possession.
Bennett only a sophomore. A lot of great lacrosse left in her as she skies the shot. Everybody standing on the end line. That could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think that it's just simpler to just keep it down there when they're all standing on the line like that, thinking they're going to get the ball.
Shia dispossessed. Emma Funderburk picks it up. The dish from boys to the back, English. Bennett once again attacking from the top of the fan. On the way in. A lot of shots high today for the Yellow Jackets. Another chance for Bennett. And it checked off by Holmes. Good grief. Taken back by Shia, though.
Holmes has made so many impact plays today on. She's the main keys on stopping Fort Mill's draw. She's outrun some of these girls. She's got a so fast when I see her in transition. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word transition. But being able to chase people down, just outrun people like she has been able to do, has been a lot of her success and Chapin's success.
Molly Bennett once again trying to do a little bit of everything here, harassing Cheek, who's been pretty much unflappable today. Look at this. I can only imagine what was being uttered there.
It was a good play because what she was trying to do is she was trying to get close to the crease and saying she got pushed into the crease. It was not. She did not get pushed into the crease. She willingly went over there and tried to milk it a little bit. It's a smart play. It's a brilliant play. But I think that's what they are discussing right here. But it should stay Fort Mill's ball for her going back into the crease. Again, just to remind fans, once you leave the crease and girls across, you cannot enter it on your own free will.
All that hard work, Bennett able to recover. Into Shia. CC Shia bounces it just past Cheek. And she gets a hat trick here in the state championship. But the celebration is beginning among the Chapin fans.
You would think Chapin scored that goal. I think even some of the Fort Mill fans are looking over a little confused. But
well, again, Fort Mill's got some things to look forward to. We talked about Bennett just being a sophomore. CC Shia is only a freshman, and in her freshman year, hat trick in the state championship.
Freshman returning the goalie. They've done excellent today at the draw, and the keys to it is stopping the other team from goaling. You return your goalie, and you control the face-off. The face-off's been 50-50 in the second half, but they did dominate in the first half, and you're returning your leading scorer from the state championship there. So like you said, bright future next year, could easily be back here. It's going to be a little bit taller of an order for Chapin of the studs that they graduate, but they're losing their top 3 leading scorers. Well, you're going to have 3 new leading scorers next year.
Exactly. It's going to be tough as well as they try to create another team that has the dynamic like this one. You talk to anyone associated with this Eagle program, and they'll tell you this year has just been different. Madison Lofton said at the press conference earlier this week that I'm going to remember the culture of this team. There was just simply so much joy coming in every day, working hard, doing everything that we needed to do. And that was echoed by our head coach, Raven Thomas, Ava Claire Collins as well.
And depending on how many players you have that, you can continue that tradition moving forward. And that's how you build dynasties. That's how you build the programs like Chapin. Like I said, Chapin won it 5 years ago, but it's not like they disappeared from the playoff picture completely. They had a couple where they lost in the lower state championship, the second round, but they were never non-contenders.
But they were certainly contenders this year. As a matter of fact, they're champions, the Chapin Eagles, your 2024 SCHSL Class 5A Girls Lacrosse State Champions.
It's one of the best moments is watching the girls just run on the field, throwing sticks up in the air. You know, you'll see it with the boys today. They'll throw gloves, they throw helmets. You know, they throw all their equipment. It's tradition at every game you go get your goalie. That's why they all go mob the goalie. Is lacrosse is about that tradition. Is like when the game's over, win or lose, you go get their goalie. Fort Mill went to go get their goalie. They bring them back. Chapin did the same thing. That's who you celebrate with. Goalies are the anchors of most teams. So.
I know everybody comes back to celebrate. Raven Thomas embracing her team. Assistant coach Tony Mathis doing the same. You see that joy at its apex now. And they have got a whole lot of friends and family here to celebrate with them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I see the boys teams and a bunch of student sections, and that's what you like to see. Is you do like to see the student sections. You have friends and family that comes to games, but when the students make the drive, which is an easier drive for Chapin to come out there, is good. Even Fort Mill have some students make the drive down, and that's what I get excited to see is when you see student sections.
I was just about to say, normally we'd say this is about to be a fun bus ride back, but it's about a 15-minute bus ride, so they may go have a post-game feast at one of the many establishments up the road here. Going to be a good day, however, the Eagles spend it. As for Fort Mill, excellent season. They'll finish as the state runner-ups today, 13-6, their final record, with 4 losses to out-of-state teams and 2 losses to Chapin. Unable to solve the Eagles this year. But the Yellow Jackets young and will be back. Eagles, in the meantime, soaking it all in.
Well, it's just amazing feeling when you see all that hard work, all the other stuff they put in. They've been working at it in the off season. From this time last year, they were putting in work to be back here for next year, and that's what the champions do. Is what do you do when you're not at practice? What do you do when your coach is not doing anything? And when you have a group that is this connected, that you mentioned, that there's just something special. They're doing stuff outside of lacrosse together, and that just makes everything easier as a coach, holding your teammates accountable. It just makes everything easier, and that's how you build a championship.
And to your point about their ability to continue what they've done here, we've talked a little bit about Raven Thomas and her impact in the Midlands and in lacrosse in the state. She just gives off an energy of positivity. It just seems like playing for her, it just inspires the best in you as a person and as a player. I don't know her personally, but just everything that I've seen, heard from her, heard about her in my prep for this broadcast, just feels like Chapin's got a special one leading their team.
Oh, absolutely. Teams from the other side of town are coming to play for her travel team. She wants, she's open to having everybody. You do get travel teams where people are only focused on their school. She's not. She's an advocate of growing lacrosse girls all over the area. Like she doesn't recruit. People want to come play for her, but she has players from River Bluff, Lexington, probably White Knoll, Irmo, Dutch Fort, Chapin, and probably even as far as Blythewood or Spring Valley. Some of these players do probably come over here to want to be around good coaches, great coaches, and seeing what it takes to be. And then also the coaches, the coaches under her for her travel teams are part of it. I know one of the Irmo coaches is a part of it because they want to be around that great. What can I do to take from that and put it on my team? And people fly to her. Just it really does. And it starts with the youth. You see how she acts with the youth. That's what she does. She wants to grow the game.
Well, she has certainly done that, and will walk away as a state champion head coach for the first time. For now, though, Fort Mill receiving its runner-up trophy,
which they should be very proud of. Like I said, they've had a great season. They've gone through a gauntlet of jail, man. It's just a brutal, and the girls across, they've got over that hump and got back up here. It's just taking that next step. They got a great coach who's been around almost 10 years now. Young core, could easily be back here.
Head coach Kirsten Terry now going out to receive that trophy. That's Principal Bain of Fort Mill High School out there with her. Not only did they knock out JL Man, also Burns and then their arch rival Nation Ford in this tournament to get here. So a lot for them to enjoy, and certainly, yeah, hoist that high, Coach Terry. Well earned. Terry actually has a ring from the 2012 state championship that Fort Mill had because she was a part of that team as a player.
Oh, wow.
And today belongs to the Chapin Eagles. Edward Davis Jr., the principal at Chapin High, headed out. Number of other admins, and then it'll be Coach Thomas's turn.
Yeah, with it being this close, you probably get a lot more admins that show up.
I believe so.
ADs, coaches, and
I believe the public address announcer just said Raven Johnson, thinking about Gamecock women's basketball, but Raven. The unfortunate thing is a number of Chapin fans turned around and looked directly at us and said it's Thomas. They're like, not on us, folks. Well, we are saying you cannot hear currently.
yeah.
And the party is on here on the turf at Irmo for the girls from just 15 miles up the road.
Pretty sure they're going to have a great time on the lake tonight.
I think so. They had the first game of the day. They've got ample lake time if they want it.
Yeah. Chapin's got some beautiful lots out there and houses. I'm pretty sure a couple parents wouldn't mind upping their lot for a celebrational party.
It's a team that enjoyed each other's company the whole way through. A lot of moments to remember, this chief among them.
And you see this, what I'd like to point out is you see a lot of boys from the boys team. The head coach from the boys team is here. I see a lot of the youth that helps with boys and girls. It's the whole community is behind this team. And you see that with other programs. Some of the better programs have good boys and girls, and they feed off each other. You know, so you see that Wando's usually in the conversation with both. The Lexington over here, both teams, you know, were in there for competing for region. You see that, and it just goes a long way. You feed off of each other. You had a lot of Fort Mill boys. I think that was probably half their team came up. You know, it's good to see that the teams support each other.
A lot of synergy for the Chapin Eagles and everybody else. It was like the whole community of Chapin is here and enjoying this moment, and they have much to enjoy. They will finish this season 18-2, district champions, lower state champions, total state champions. This has been live coverage of the South Carolina High School League Lacrosse Championships on the NFHS Network. NFHSnetwork.com/SCHSL is your destination for the most comprehensive coverage of South Carolina high school playoff action. We'll be back in roughly 25 minutes' time for the Class 5A Boys State Championship game between the Wando Warriors and the Nation Ford Falcons. Wonder if the Fort Mill fans will stick around to root against Nation Ford. We'll see how that goes. Nonetheless, we'll look forward to bringing you that action as those teams meet up in this round for the third consecutive year. This will be the rubber match. Wando winning it 2 years ago. Nation Ford, the defending state champs. I hope to see you along for that one. In the meantime, Chapin wins it 13-4 over Fort Mill. For my broadcast partner, David Bates, for our producer, Lyle Rivers, and for all of us here at the NFHS Network, I'm Brett Williams saying so long for now from W.C. Hawkins Stadium. The Chapin Eagles celebrating this state championship, their second time in the last 6 years. This has been a live presentation of the SCHSL Lacrosse State Championships on the NFHS Network.